I'm Claire. And today I'm going to read you, a little chunk of a thing I wrote in Megan Lamb, who's back there's creative writing class last year. And this excerpt is a depiction of a heavenly factory floor where wishes on eyelashes are either granted or denied. So, in the stubby brick building, the supervising mouse, Mr. Mahout, lowered his spectacles. He angled his snout down from his elevated platform to inspect the conveyor belt on his left. Everything looked in order. 18 men dressed in their Sunday best hovered a few inches above the floor on either side of this line. They wore blue hairnets with their suits. They had no eyelashes. When a bell rang, lidded petri dishes flowed down all of the lines. 216 men worked here, including Colin, who was always calling off sick. The men transferred the petri dishes that stopped in front of them to their individual stations. They lifted the lids and scanned the eyelashes presented to them in a cacophony of checkout sounds. Most of the lashes from this round scanned red, 3 glowed green, and 1 didn't glow at all. That was typical these days, probably another careless breather. Around midday, 2 white doves were heard flapping and darting to tap their beaks on the single window at the front of the hall. I hope they break their little pure necks, grumbled Mr. Mahout. The men only heard faint squeaks. Sir, one of the other employees said. Your intercom. Mr. Mahout pressed the red button on his panel with one paw. Let in the doves, he thundered. The man nearest to the door opened it. The birds careened inside, bearing an enormous parchment scroll between their 2 beaks. One shat on the floor. The mouse's whiskers twitched indignantly, but he otherwise maintained his composure. More orders from the higher-up, I presume? The birds did not answer, but the one that had not defecated instead regurgitated an olive branch. The first dove cooed demurely. They both took flight. Bird brains, the mouse squeaked to himself, releasing the button. Immediately he pressed it again with all of the strength that his 2 front paws could muster. Kyle, come open this for me. The rest of you except Colin. He scanned the lines for Colin, who to his shock floated readily at his station. Get back to work. Colin, would you please address the little gifts left to us by our visitors? Colin looked morose but diligently floated to the shelf containing the disinfectant near the punch cards. Kyle approached the platform as the mouse, with a push of another button on his panel, lowered it to the height of the man's chest. Next to the desk with its control panel and portly, gray-haired inhabitant sat the parchment scroll, sealed with wax. Mr. Mahout pointed to it with a delicately filed nail. With a careful movement so as not to spook his superior, Kyle excised the scroll, and broke the seal. As was typical, this mandate from the higher-up was written in gold calligraphy. Kyle angled the writing for Mr. Mahout to see. Mandate 8,936,728,288. All wishes regarding the status of lost pets are not to be granted until December 25th, at which point those which have not perished may be returned in accordance with the Christmas Miracle Statute of 1914.